Welcome to the Gone-Gpn Show with your hosts, Rick Péwé and Traci Clark. Grab your favorite beverage, kick back, put your feet up, and have a listen.
Welcome to the 10th episode of the Gone-Gpn Show. I'm your host, Rick Péwé.
And I'm your co-host, Traci Clark.
We have our wonderful crew, Greg Henderson, Liam Lafferty, and Tyler Donaldson with us today. And we're going to be talking about all sorts of things Jeep-related, events, some tech, and really a couple of cool things. Traci?
Yeah, and we've got a special guest here with us today. We have Jerry Huber with the Toledo Jeep Fest. And I'm so excited that the 4th annual Toledo Jeep Fest is going forward. It's one of my favorite events. Jerry, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing all about the 4th annual Toledo Jeep Fest and the 80th anniversary of Jeep in the birthplace of Jeep.
Yeah, I'm as excited as you are, Traci. Last year was a tough time for the Jeep community, and we're really looking forward to doing it again this year. And as you said, we've got the 80th anniversary to celebrate, so lots of good things happening.
Toledo Jeep Fest is back. Join us August 6th through the 8th for the 4th Toledo Jeep Fest in downtown Toledo, Ohio. Kick off the weekend Friday at Monroe Superstore for the welcome party. Start the fun Saturday with the All Jeep Parade, All Jeep Indoor Exhibit, and Park and Shine Jeep Show. Check out our vendor midway, live entertainment, food, family zone, and so much more. There's fun for the whole family during Toledo Jeep Fest. For more information, visit ToledoJeepFest.com.
For the readers that don't know why Toledo is kind of recognized as the birthplace of the Jeep, why don't you give our viewers a little bit of a clue how that came about? I mean, Toledo, Ohio is just a speck when you look at the giant manufacturing capability of America. Yet, over 250,000 Jeeps came out of there in World War II.
Yeah, Rick, I think the affiliation with Jeep and Toledo obviously runs back to the military Jeep for World War II. And, a lot of folks know the story about the Bantam Jeeps, and I guess they've got their big weekend going on in Butler this weekend. They know about the competition with the Quartermaster General and so forth, with Willys, John North Willys, the Willys Corporation, and with Ford Motor Company. So the three of them really kind of working in competition, but in some cases working together to decide who was gonna get this contract. Well, long story short, the contract gets let. Bantam doesn't have the capacity to make the vehicles that are in demand, so it gets split production-wise between Ford and Willys. And the Willys versions were all produced here in Toledo. In fact, at the old factory where I worked for almost 20 years, which is now torn down. But, the real key, I think, for, once you get past that history portion, and there's all kinds of debates about, who did what and so forth. But I think the important thing for us here in Toledo is that when the war was over, Willys had the foresight to see this is an interesting vehicle. It's got a future. So, they very quickly converted some of the production capability and redesigned to produce the civilian Jeep in 1945, 1946. And that's what really kicked it off. And a lot of those folks, believe it or not, still have their roots here in Toledo. I think the other thing that you can't overlook when you talk about the history of it, and it's important to us with this Toledo Jeep Fest, because one of our title sponsors is the Dana Corporation. And Dana has got their axles under just about all of the Jeeps from 1941 on. So they're a great partner for us, and also part of that Toledo, lineage of the vehicle production and the loyalty to the Jeep products.
That's right. And for those of you that don't know, Dana Spicer is located in Toledo, and they were the only ones capable of inventing and mass producing those axles for the Bantam and for the Ford and for the Willys. And of course, the transfer case. Now, eventually, Ford, of course, had, because of their huge production capacity, made their own, but it was all the designs based on the original Willys. And 75 years later, after the first civilians rolled off the line, we're here at the Toledo Jeep Fest, which amazingly is only 4 years old. And you think, why didn't they do this a long time ago? Toledo is home.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We decided in 2016, it was the 75th anniversary from 1941. So, we talked to the union, we talked to some of the community leaders, and there was a decision made that, hey, we got to do something. And you're right. Big question is, why wasn't this done before? Can't answer that, but I can tell you that going forward, I think that there's a good possibility that this thing will go on for a long time. We're celebrating the 80th this year. It's really exciting, not only because of the 80th year, but because of all the new products. They've got, a world-class factory now here in Toledo, where we operated in one of the oldest manufacturing facilities for some 70 plus years. And with the new products that are coming out, we think there's a good future. We've got some competition coming, and with the Bronco and so forth. Frankly, I think that's going to make us, make our product, more interesting and better. Competition never hurt. And, if you go back in my history, I happen to be, in automotive manufacturing. I happened to work for Ford for about 15 years before I went to American Motors back in the early 80s. So I have kind of a split feeling on some of that stuff. But, I really trust the Jeep design people and the Jeep manufacturing process at this point to continue to produce world-class vehicles and set the standard.
So how many years did you work for AMC, Jeep, Chrysler, whatever it was?
Yeah, I ended up with about 21 years with the, after I left Ford. So a total of 36 years in the automotive operation, most of it in manufacturing. So it was, you got to see a lot of changes. And by the same token, you saw some things that just really haven't changed a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, that means you're the right person to help put this on. Can you give us our viewers an idea of what happens? I mean, it's not a 10-day event. It's what, 3 days?
Basically, it's a 3-day event. Our unique, and I give kudos to all of the organizations and communities and organizations in general that put on Jeep events, because I think the Jeep community is very appreciative of it, and hopefully we reward those organizations that help support the Jeep community. But what makes our event is clearly unique, and and there's some pluses and minuses to that. I think one of the things as a Jeeper, and I like to think of myself somewhat as an avid off-roader. We don't have any significant off-road element because it's done in a metropolitan area. It's done in downtown Toledo, and that makes for some challenges, but it also creates some really unique opportunities because our event is for Jeepers, but it's also for the Toledo area. And we get, in 2019, we did a little checking, and we had over the course of the 3 days, it's really a Friday night, Saturday, and then Sunday up till about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We had almost 70,000 people here, but that's huge. And the thing is, what do we have to offer because we don't have that off-road element? Well, we squeak a little bit of that in. We have a kickoff event on Friday afternoon. Right up the road from us, one of our dealers has an 18 obstacle off-road course that's on a couple of acres. We have a blast there, and as the people roll into town, we ask them to route by there. We'll have food trucks, a band, spend as much time on the off-road track. Some of our vendors will stop by there, and then that shifts to downtown Toledo. And then Friday evening, we kick off our other title sponsor, ProMedica, who's the big healthcare provider in our area, provides a lot of the insurance and so forth for the Jeep plant and the people in the community. They have a concert series that they kick off Friday night, and it's usually a national name group that comes in. This year, I think we've got Josh Turner and Loretta Lorraine that are coming in, and that'll kind of conclude the Friday evening stuff, and then gets everybody downtown. And when I say downtown, we close all of the major streets. We even get we get approval with the city to close a couple of state routes that happen to be the main street. If you're not familiar with Toledo, we border where the Maumee River runs right through the center of town. So we have our own little riverfront area, and there's a big park there. That'll all be activated with activity. There's a TV screen that's probably, I don't know, Traci saw it the other year. It's probably 50 feet high and maybe 70 feet long. And there'll be live broadcasts from the car shows, from the parade, and so forth over that. But that, like I said, that kind of wraps up Friday night, gets everybody downtown, all the restaurants, welcome everybody, a lot of specials and things to do. And then we kick off Saturday morning with a parade that starts out at the zoo. We have a staging area out at the Toledo Zoo. And again, there'll be food trucks there. It's like a big tailgate party, frankly. Some of the vendors will go and they'll set up out there. There's giveaways. They don't usually have a live band there, but we'll have a DJ or something like that. And I keep mentioning the bands and the concert stuff. Over the course of the 2.5 days, we have booked like 32 hours of live music that's throughout the downtown area on, I think, 4 or 5 different stages that we activate. And then while that's going on Saturday morning, the vendor midway opens up. We have about, I'd say this year we're going to have around 100 vendors. Now the big guys that come in, with the semis and so forth, like you see at Moab and like you see at some of the other, Jeep Beach and so forth. Again, it's a challenge because you're doing this in the downtown, in a metropolitan area. So the city streets are closed, and we put the semis there with the big awnings, and there'll be a beer garden, and there's just a lot going on. I mean, it's really hard to explain. Traci's been there; she's seen it, and it's pretty wild. I mean, there's more than you can do. We have again, because it's a family-oriented event. We have a kids zone, and then we have a family zone also. We're lucky enough here in Toledo to have a minor league baseball team, the Toledo Mudhens. And when we did this event in 2019, they happened to be in town, so they had games Friday night, Saturday, and then they moved their Sunday game day afternoon so that people in attendance could participate. And they did special uniforms with the big tire tracks on it, and they changed the name of the team to the Mud Crawlers instead of the Mud Hens for that weekend. So it's really cool that everybody in the community jumps in and gets activated and participates in the thing. So, along with the vendor midway and so forth, there's a very nice convention hall right in the downtown area, right off it's about, right on the other side of the street from where our vendor midway is. And we'll have a Jeep display in there of historically significant vehicles. We are always lucky to have good support from FCA, or now Stellantis, and they've been gracious enough to deliver each year. We usually get at least 3 or 4 of the Easter Jeep Safari vehicles, which are just of major interest to every Jeeper out there. And, unless you get the Easter Jeep Safari, sometimes you don't get to see those. So we have those available. And, Omics Auto, Rugged Ridge, they bring some of the vehicles from their Georgia Jeep collection outfit. We get some special vehicles. They let us kind of go through and pick out what we want. We've got some pretty significant historical vehicles in the area. We've got a forward control, it's an F-150, I guess, F-170 cab over fire truck that used to belong to the Owens Corning glassworks here in town. So there's just a lot going on, and like I say, there's something for everybody to do. One of the things that we always try to spice it up a little bit. One of the things we noticed at some of the other events, we find a lot of the guys and gals are have taken these 1/10 scale rock crawlers, radio control rock crawlers, and they've built those to look like their own vehicles. So it's pretty cool. And I was not into that. I'm like, my interest has been along those of like Derek Redmond. I've been restoring these old Tonka trucks for about 25 years now. And finally, I think the kids got me one of these rock crawler jobs. And it's really interesting. I mean, we've already upgraded the springs and the shock absorbers, and you can use stainless steel drive shafts, and they've got a actual transfer case. They run off a battery, but we're putting in an off-road course in the Seagate Center, and we think we know we're going to have a lot of folks that are coming down. We've got one of the big hobby shops is going to sponsor that element of the event, and Traxxas, who makes a lot of off-road cars, is bringing an outdoor, like a roundy round track for some of the high-speed stuff. But again, it's something different for people to do. But it's really geared towards the Jeepers. I mean, that's all of our events and so forth. I mean, we actually turn people away every year because we're asking everybody that comes to be, Jeep related or Jeep focused, or offer something for the Jeepers. I don't know about you guys, but I get a little upset sometimes when you go to a Jeep event and there's a guy selling athletic socks and perfume there. That's not my deal.
Yeah, get that at the mall.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. My athletic socks say Jeep, so.
Well, then that's approved. Well, Traci, you did go there for one of the events, and what were your thoughts of it? You said you loved it.
I loved it. Me coming from an off-road background, and I love the off-road Jeep related events, I was a little bit skeptical on the plane ride there because I had just come off the Rubicon a couple of days before. I was literally home like 48 hours or something, and then I'm flying out. But Toledo has always been on my bucket list because it is the birthplace of Willys Overland and the Jeep and what is parked out in my driveway. So it was always a bucket list destination for me. I get there and I fell in love with this. I fell in love with the event. This whole area bleeds Jeep. I mean, we talk about the Jeep wave, and there's the 2-finger, the 1-finger, or, depending on what you're driving, you might not get a wave at all. If you're running around and you don't have doors on or your top on, it's not a 2-finger. It's an out the door, full hand, up and down, happy to see you. If you've got 7 slots, 9 slots, it doesn't matter. This whole community bleeds Jeep. It's great to see. I turn on the news in the morning to see what the weather was going to be like. And just because that's me, the news channels are all over Toledo Jeep Fest. And to walk through downtown, through these historical buildings, it's just amazing. And I love it. I'm a huge MASH fanatic. So, my thing was Toledo, Tony Pacos, Toledo Mudhens. I got to take it all in. And I will go back again and again and again and again because it's just a wonderful event.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And it's centrally located, obviously. It's not like you have to go all the way to Florida. It's not like it's on the West Coast or East Coast. It is right in the center of America. And that means everybody can drive there. And that's one thing, Jerry. How many people are in the parade and how many people attend? Or Jeeps? How many Jeeps attend?
Well, we'll have over 1,000 Jeeps probably just in the parade. Anything more than that gets kind of difficult to manage because one of the cool things about this event is that if you're in the parade, when you come back in the parade, when you get to the end of the parade route, we park everybody right inside the festival area. So it's not like you got to go to a lot or you got to go back to the motel and then come back to the event or whatever. I mean, you and everybody in your Jeep, you're already in the center of the event, so we get you parked. And I can tell you that the one year we had like 1,500 Jeeps to park, and it all happens. I mean, the parade, we try to keep it to around a little over an hour because it's televised. In 2019, a couple of the companies, I know one of the guys from Omixata live streamed it, and we had people from Romania calling up and saying, "Hey, how do we get to come to this event?" Yeah. So, we're not sure what we're going to get in the way of attendance this year because, again, things are a little bit, strange still with travel. But we've already got people registered from 22 states. We've got one fellow, one registration. The guy's coming from Mexico. Normally, we have a club. There's a group out of Chatham, Ontario, that comes down from Canada. They brought about 25 vehicles in 19. They have not registered yet, but we still are. The border's still not quite open between us and Canada yet. So I would expect that we're going to see more and more activity here now that things are starting to open up. But like I said, we've got some folks from out your way. We've got a couple from Arizona. We got a handful from Texas. And like you said, it's not like you got to go to. It's not like if you're in California and you got to go to a Jeep Beach. It's still somewhat center of the United States, and we've got some folks from Maine. We do have a couple from Florida to come up, but I think we had 32 states represented in 2019, and obviously we want to improve upon that. But given what we've got in the healthcare situation this year, we may not see that, but we're already seeing numbers and response that have exceeded what we did in 2019 at the same given time.
Well, that's the deal. What you have is something special. This is the 80th anniversary, right. So that's another draw. They did say something to the effect that the border is only open for important reasons, right? Well, I think that's an important reason if we need to get a petition together and get some Jeeps across. But regardless, what are the dates?
August 6th, 7th, and 8th. Again, that Friday night, you roll into town in the afternoon, and we'll keep you busy until sometime Sunday afternoon. Get you back on the road if you're heading home, and if you've got the time, there's plenty to do here in Toledo. We've got the a Museum of the Great Lakes. There's an actual lake freighter, a tugboat now that you can tour, that you can walk from our festival to that location. We've got a world-class art museum affiliated with the Libby Glass Company, and we've got a really good zoo. There's just a lot going on downtown. I mean, if you get to the event, one of the things that you may have a little struggle with is there is so much to do and so much to see. It's tough in that given period of time. And again, all the restaurants in the downtown area run specials and try to accommodate the people. Traci mentioned, and you mentioned also Tony Paco restaurants. They do a it's not their gift certificate, but they do like a business card in everybody's goodie bag that's good for one free hot dog, and that's a good draw. Because let me tell you, nobody just buys one hot dog when you go to their place.
You betcha. So what if I come over? What if I drive there and I need to camp out? Is there a place to camp instead of a hotel?
Yeah, we've got some campgrounds in the area. There's one out at there's a big state park that's probably about 10 miles from downtown that accommodates a motorhome or whatever you've got kind of rig. And then there's a couple of them right off of 75 in the Monroe area before Detroit. So yeah, there's camping available. I think that we had one of the hotels that was directly connected to the Seagate Center is under new ownership, and it's closed right now. But you could actually walk from there to the hotel, never go outside. I mean, it's connected to the convention center. That's being redone, and it will reopen. But there is another hotel in the downtown area for somebody that's going to bring their Jeep and is going to have it on display or doesn't want to drive it around and so forth. So, yeah. It's a pretty Jeep friendly area. If somebody comes and they got a trailer to park, we have a designated trailer parking area that's like 1.5 blocks from the convention center. Some of the fellows and gals will bring in a Jeep that they tow in. It's on display, and you know, they don't want to be. Hey, we're all kind of like that. We don't want to be too far away from our hardware. So you know, we have a secured lot that we keep there. Overnight, we have you know, security and so forth for any of the vendors that are displaying in the downtown area. You know, again, there's so many things that are unique about this event because it's in a downtown area. Some of them are a challenge, but some of them are a real blessing too.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Here's a question: how do people get a hold of you? How do they register?
Okay, probably the easiest way, and a lot of our registration might show that it's closed right now, but I would say there's contact numbers there. It's real easy. You go onto the internet, and it's Toledo Jeep Fest.com, and that will get you to. It's really not that difficult, right? Right. The other thing is we've got a Facebook page, and it's Toledo Jeep Fest, and that'll bring you up. And we always are updating that. We'll kind of give some highlights or kudos to some of our suppliers, our vendors, sponsors, and so forth. Do some you know, profiles. We'll start now with you know, some teasers on some of the folks that are going to be you know, we have a speaker series on in the convention hall on Saturday. We usually have a couple of folks that'll give a presentation. We're trying to round out that dais right now, but we've got Dan Fry that's going to from. You probably have recently met Dan. He does a great presentation on the 4xe Wrangler and the electric concepts and so forth. And I know we're going to have more than one of those there. So, and then we've got one of the fellows we just signed up the other day is a Dr. Dean Shirley. He runs a East Coast outfitters operation. He's an overlander. He's written a couple of books and so forth. And he was here in 2019, and he kind of split a presentation with Dan Greck, whom I know you guys know. So,
you know Dan.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw his recent Facebook page, but he's just starting his next excursion. He's in quarantine in Australia, and he can't go out of the hotel for 14 days. So he's learning to play the didgeridoo.
Oh, well, there you go. Something to learn while in Australia. A final question for you. You said you're a Jeeper. What kind of Jeep do you have?
Well, we've got I've got a 1989 Islander. And
cool.
Greg would like that YJ that he just finished building here not too long ago. And we picked this thing up in 1989. It was brand new. It's the Malibu yellow. Oh, it's cool. Been on about 15 or 16 of the Jeep Jamborees when I was working. I used to run that on the weekends, but it's about as close to museum quality as you can find. It's got like 12,500 miles on it. And when we would bring it back from a Jamboree, when we would be up in the Maine mountains or down in Cumberland, I would always take it back to the plant, put it on the hoist, and we would repaint the. So it's in pretty good shape. And then there's we're just working on a 2006 LJ. We're building a stroker motor for it. It's got 531 gearing, and it's got JK axles underneath it. So it's a lot of fun to drive. And there's an XJ that's got a lot of Rubicon Express suspension components and so forth. We've got a JK8 with a supercharger that was put together with a couple of the guys from Jeep Engineering out of bits and pieces from their Egyptian Army project. So, and then there's a hot rod that's out there that's it's a 1944. It's actually registered as a Ford, but it's a 9-slot grill with a small block Chevy and 2-wheel drive. It's built like an old dirt track car. It's got the straight steering column, and when you're driving, there's no 2-footing going on because the steering column is definitely between the gas pedal and the brake. So you're it's. Yeah, and yeah, that's right. There's a 90 YJ with a small block Chevy in it, that is running 40-inch. I think they're Swampers on that one. And that's the one that we pretty much do the rough wheeling with when we get out. We like to go up to, we try to get up to the east end of Lake Superior at Batchewana Bay with the guys, Mark Allen and some of the guys from the Jeep Underground used to go up there, and we kind of missed that trip with the borders being closed. But there's, for the Midwest, it's the wheeling's different here, but it's not like you guys have out there. We had the JK8 out to Moab in 19, and it was a blast.
Well, that shows that you definitely are a Jeeper. You didn't stop with one Jeep or two, now did you?
Well, I'm
no.
But, the wife says no more. Now that we're doing these little 1/10 scale things, But the only thing I can do is, like I said, Derek Redmond has inspired me to work on these old Tonkas, and there's always a couple of those in the shop being worked on.
I've got one more question for Jerry. Any news on the Jeep Museum that you can share with us?
Nothing that we can share. It's still, we're still, working to get this thing on back on the track. Obviously, with the change in the ownership of Chrysler and so forth, and then with the economic impact and some of the construction things that went on last year go on, we've got to step back. But I can tell you, there's a lot of enthusiasm and work being done to try and get that, bring that to fruition.
That would be epic.
And Toledo's that's the right place for it. We've been building them here for 80 years. I think with that new factory, there's no reason we can't continue to do that. And we see additional investment from FCA and Stellantis. They're talking about, in fact, I think they're ready to break ground. They've purchased some property next to the plant for what they want to do as an upfit center. You guys have probably, there's nothing secret about that information. They've been talking about it, and they want to do some upfit on not only Wranglers and Gladiators, but the plan would be to maybe do some of these fancy Dodge trucks that they're building just up the road here in Detroit.
That's right.
So going on, I mean, as you can tell, and a lot of enthusiasm. I kind of get wound up on it sometimes, but it's hard not to do.
Well, that's what we want from real Jeepers. Put it on a real Jeep event. I mean, this is exciting. This is why we get wound up, and thank God people like you are putting it on rather than a bunch of suit and coat guys that are just trying to make some money. This is a real Jeep event.
Yeah, we, one of the things that, and I realize that, there's a big cost involved in doing something like this. So, my hats off to all of the vendors and the sponsors that participate. And we have been blessed with sponsors. Again, Dana Corporation. If you're doing a Jeep event, I really can't think of a better, more, four-wheel and rugged oriented company than that. The fact that they're here in Toledo probably, helps sway them a little bit, but they've been a great partner. And ProMedica, they have their headquarters right downtown, directly across the street from where our event is held. And they are a gracious host. There's a big park that they open up to give us access to, and all of the partners that we have. And again, Traci saw this firsthand when she was here. It's an all hands on kind of an event. And, while it's focused on Jeepers, it really brings out, we try to put our best foot forward for Toledo, and the Jeep community is a great, representative, I think, of the community down here. We get a lot of volunteers, when you think about the long history, with again, going back with Jeep, Willys, Dana, Spicer, we have just a lot of family connections between the unions. Just the unions alone, they've probably got a retiree regime in the area of probably in the area of 6,000 to 8,000 active retirees, people that are still doing things. in addition to the workforce there. And it's not uncommon when you meet somebody in the neighborhood and you're driving a Jeep. Well, oh, my uncle worked at Jeep, or my uncle sold axles. And yeah, I'll tell you, I mean, occasionally you'll meet somebody that they either didn't have a relative that worked there, but it's the rarity. It's the exception. It's not the rule.
And that would be Toledo. That's amazing.
Yeah, Toledo, and really, it's where we're located. We're right on the Toledo border is on the Michigan line. So about 20%. When I was plant manager there at the plant, about 20% of my workforce came from the Southeast Michigan area. So yeah, it's a great area, and again, it's really interesting. I haven't checked it the last year because a lot of things we didn't do the last year, but I think in 18 we did a check of motor vehicle registrations, and in the Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan area, about 20% of vehicle registrations were Jeeps. Oh. We were surprised.
That's really awesome. And then hopefully, well, you'll get a lot more than 20% of the people there with Jeeps for the Toledo Jeep Fest. I know that it's going to be a great thing, and I appreciate you coming along, and of course Traci for turning us on to this and getting you on here. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, and hopefully one of us or all of us will be out there.
You're all welcome, and if you get here, you're coming. Look us up, and we'll roll out the red carpet for you.
I'll definitely be there again. It was a great event when I went a couple years ago. Absolutely loved it. In fact, Traci and I had a couple drinks at the bar that night. But yeah, it's a phenomenal event. I'm really hoping that this time next year, I'm going to bring Phil Tony's Pro Dog to your event because I'm putting it back together.
Good. He was one of the guys who was on our Moab trip when I was out there, and that was a shocker. Hate to see that guy go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Greg, yeah, you're welcome anytime, man. Stop by and say hello.
Oh yeah, well, it's a 2-hour drive from here. I think it took 2 hours and 15 minutes last time. So yeah, it's definitely worth it. I think the YJL will be in pieces getting ready for SEMA. Otherwise, I'd probably bring that this year, but it's got to go to SEMA, so I'll bring something.
Okay, well, yeah, let me know if you've got something that you want to put on display in the Seagate Center. We always got room for one more.
That sounds great. All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Jerry. It's been great, and we'll be talking to you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Have a good
Jerry.
day.
Hope to see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that brings us back to the Gone-Gpn show.
Yes, that brings us back to the Gone-Gpn show.
That was great.
We do have an update on the All for Fun event here in Colorado. They haven't updated their Facebook page, but I did notice on their website that is going through here in Leadville, Colorado from July 31st through August 7th. Registration is open through the end of this month. So if you guys want to come to Colorado and do some wheeling, check out mhjc.clubexpress.com. Yep. Click on the All for Fun tab and it will tell you how you can register. This will be their highest elevation event that they rotate through. So if you can't handle 10,000 feet in elevation consistently, this is probably not the All for Fun for you. Maybe wait till next year when they're a little bit lower in elevation, but All for Fun's going on. Next event that will be after that they're taking registrations for right now. And we had hoped to have George Schultz on with us, but he's kind of tied up doing some other stuff, is the Red Rock Four Wheelers Labor Day Camp Out in Moab. That'll be over Labor Day weekend. So
that's beginning of September then?
That is correct. I believe the dates are like the 3rd of September through the 6th of September, something like that.
And that's another thing for everybody out there. If you want us to push your event and let people know, let us know. That we can say, hey, what's a Jeep Club is going to have a cool event on whatever time, and maybe you can go to it. And maybe we can too. So that'd be kind of neat. So yeah, contact us anytime.
Absolutely. Hey, Rick, didn't you just get off the road like yesterday. Weren't you up in Jerry's neck of the woods doing something fun and exciting?
I was in Detroit, Michigan. And as you know, that's the home of Stellantis. In fact, I was invited to go drive the new Jeep Grand Cherokee L. What in the world is that, you may ask? Well, as you know, the Grand Cherokee has had about 5. This is the 5th iteration, and this one now has a third row seat, three rows. The last 3-row big Jeep was the Commander in 2007 or something. Yeah, well, it wasn't a Scout anyway, but it didn't go over that well. So people like Jim Morrison at Jeep said, well, we're not going to do another one until we can do it right. And sure enough, I got a chance to go drive this on-road, off-road, and see the plant that it's built in. And we'll have video of that later. And I can't give you driving impressions yet, but I can say I did really enjoy the entire vehicle. I can't say the drive.
So Jim said they weren't going to do it again until they could do it right. So in your opinion, did they do it right?
They did it right.
Okay.
In fact, they had 2 6'4" people get in the thing and sit in the back row, and it worked. I mean, I got in there in the second row too, and the way that you make it is, of course, it came up with the new architecture for the new Grand Cherokee, and then this one being 3-row is the Grand Cherokee L. So it's 15 inches longer than the 2-row, which is not out yet. That'll be a few more months away. So we'll tell you more about that. But I can say it's completely new. Of course, it looks Jeep-like. It has trapezoidal wheel arches. It has the somewhat 7-slot grill. It has all the little design cues of being a Jeep. But most importantly, and why they waited so long to do it, because everybody else has a 3-row, right? It'll actually 4-wheel. I mean, it has 3 different transfer case options. It has 2 different suspensions options, regular steel or the air ride, of course. And your options for engines are the 3.6 Pentastar or the 5.7 Hemi. And what's really interesting is that they have a front axle disconnect so that when you don't need 4-wheel drive, you don't have it. Yeah, you know, some other vehicles have, but this is a little bit different in a full-size SUV. The front axle is married to the engine, and that helps in noise vehicle harmonics. And all this little detail, I could go on and on and on. In fact, I got a book that just has about everything in it. 110 different safety items. It has hands-on driving. They didn't want to call it hands-off driving because
I think you might be starting to talk about driving impressions. I think we're going to cut you off at that.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I could go on and on and on and on. But wait for the video. It's really cool. We got some guest speakers and fun stuff. But before I go, also I got to go see the factory that's built the new Grand Cherokee L. This factory started in 1919. It was the Mack plant. Had nothing to do with Mack trucks. It's on Mack Road. But it was cool because Chrysler, Stellantis, whoever they are now, decided to go full on Detroit and hired Detroit people in Detroit. It's the first factory in 30 years in the Detroit area. First new factory. So that was really cool too. So there's my Jeep news and notes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, cut me off now. I'm going to keep talking about it. Get in trouble with driving impressions.
Well, I think we're going to transition into trail side because I'm smelling smoke again out here, Rick. It had gone away and now it's back. And
yep. Well, you live in one of the highest fire danger areas in the world, the mountains of Colorado. I mean,
well, it's not California, but yeah, it's a high fire danger area for where I'm at. And we just happened to have a fire not quite 2 miles from my house. So just kind of been on the edge about that a little bit. And I want to bring up off-roading, wheeling, overlanding during times of high fire danger. And as a retired wildland firefighter, the this is something that I'm very passionate about. And one of the things that when, we were taking folks out back in the day during high fire danger, I do not do in and out trails ever. They may be the most fun there. My favorite trail in Colorado is Wheeler Lake. It's an in and out trail. This year, as dry as it is, unless we get some moisture, I'm not going to go do it. Why, you may ask? I want an exit route. The air here has been so dry that it almost crackles when you walk through it. Our humidity values right now are 1%, dew point in the minus 30s. It can't get much drier than it is. It doesn't take much to get a fire going. I always look at loop trails or trails that connect to another trail system. So I've got an exit route. The last thing you want to do is get on an in and out trail. You got some yahoo that has come in down below you and did something, started a fire. 8 times out of 10, that fire is going to run uphill. And where are you? You're at the top of the trail.
Yeah, that's not good.
You don't have a way to get out of there. Now, Wheeler Lake, yeah, there's a lake at the top. Yeah, it's above tree line. But not only is that fire going uphill, the fire may stop, but the smoke's still going to be there. So you're still in danger. And by putting yourself in that kind of danger, those that are going to try to come in to rescue you are also going to be put in danger. Think ahead. Look at loop trails. Make sure you've got exit routes should something happen. The other thing, if you're pulling off the trail to let somebody else go by, watch where you're pulling over. If there's tall grasses, just kind of keep going as you need to until you can find a safe spot, because it doesn't take more than a hot catalytic converter or hot exhaust to start a fire. I've been up fishing and pulled off, and there was that one little stem of grass that was long enough to hit the exhaust, and there's smoke rolling out from underneath the truck. So
yeah, your own truck.
My own truck, yeah.
You were a firefighter.
Yeah. So, look at those things. Make sure you check whether or not there are fire restrictions in the area that you're going to. Most fire restrictions mean no campfires, no charcoal grills. So, plan accordingly. Check into that. Try to keep your family and everybody else protected. And last but not least, I'm going to close with, if you are out wheeling, you come upon a smoldering, unattended campfire, don't just drive by it. Keep a shovel in your Jeep and help to put it out, because it only takes a breath of wind to take that smoldering piece of wood, fan it into a flame, another breath of wind to take a spark, and things go crazy. So I will step off my soapbox now.
Well, you make a valid point. Remember, the life you save may be your own. I went out to do some target shooting just the other day, and sure enough, all the signs were out from BLM said high fire danger, no campfires, no shooting, no nothing. And for good reason. Even though I'm in the desert as opposed to the spruce and the pines like you, it's that one little wisp of tall grass. It catches fire because you accidentally hit some other target or something, and poof, and you're dead, everybody else is dead, and that's not a good scenario for jeeping.
Well, in April, 2 months ago, April is normally still pretty much winter where I live, but this has been a very, very dry year. Not even a half mile from the house, we've got a shooting range. And had a fire up there right off the edge of the shooting range. So, just please, the life you save could be your own.
Absolutely. All right. So moving on.
How about a little Willys versus Wrangler?
So we can do that. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, I think we could chat for a little bit.
Okay, so here it is. What's your best tire size for a daily driver and trail rig? Now,
Wow.
I mean, look behind Greg. He's running 40s on that white thing. What's on your Commando behind you?
In this picture here, those are 29s. So my
Phew.
YJ runs 31s. And what I think is fun about that is parking in the parking lot at work, it looks like a monster truck, which is just hilarious because they're 31s. 31s are not big anymore. I think for, because I do daily drive my YJ, I do get groceries in it. I have driven it really far. I love the 31s. I love the height off the road. I still feel tall without being teetery. I can go around corners. Well, I go around corners probably faster than I should in a Jeep, and it holds it. It's a very stable on-road vehicle, and it's fairly capable off-road. I did learn that my breakover angle isn't great out in Moab this year, but I think before I even touch my tires, I'm actually looking at what it takes to get better articulation on my rear axle, because that was my biggest downfall. Something's going on there. And
Your departure angle kind of sucks too.
my departure angle is really, really bad, and that has everything to do with the rear bumper, or now the lack thereof, or frame member, or number of things that broke off in Moab. Other things you don't do in a high fire area is throw sparks with your rear bumper.
Right.
What can you do? No, I think the 31s are really good. I would not go above a 33 on my YJ for daily driving, because I think you start running into diminishing returns at that point.
Yeah, I think it depends, obviously, on the vehicle. All right. I'd hate to see 40s on your YJ. Not only would it look like a circus wagon, they wouldn't fit very well. Yet on a Gladiator or something like that, probably a little better. Tyler, what's your thought?
If you're not willing to do a gear swap in your axles, I wouldn't go bigger than 31s. If you are willing to swap your axle gears, I think 33 1050s were by far my favorite tire ever. I've done all but the worst trails in Moab on 33s, and now I was running 488 gears, which is a little tall, except that I had a 4-cylinder. If you got a 6-cylinder motor, I'd stick with like 456s, but 33-inch tires, they're not obnoxious on road. They don't completely decimate your gas mileage, but they allow you to do a lot of trails. And I mean a lot of trails with a little bit of body protection, rock rails, and some decent bumpers and stuff. You can do, and a good spotter, you can do very technical trails with 33s. So that would be, if you're willing to do some gears in your axles, which if you're going to go with lockers, you're going to do that anyways, 33s in either a 1050 or a 1250, either one.
And what kind of vehicle are you talking about? One of your famous XJs? Remember, this is a daily driver as well. We're throwing that in there. You got to drive it 50 miles to work.
Well, yeah, I'd still go with 33s.
Okay, there you go. What I'm saying is that any kind of vehicle, any kind of gear ratio, any kind of tire, it's a stretch one way or another, and that's why we're trying to figure out the best overall. What do you think, Traci?
I'm a fan of 35s. I grew up in the era where 35s were a big tire. Okay, but I've driven cross country on 35s. I've had 35s on Jeeps, on my pickups, on my Suburban. I mean, I'm a fan of 35s.
Yeah, 35s, depending, again, on the build, would fit on either of those vehicles that are behind you on your screenshot, on the 7 or on the pickup. It's a good overall size. Again, depending on ratio, engine, and everything else. Now, Greg, on the other hand, he keeps building things with 40s and 42s. What's with that?
So normally my max tire size is 37s for my own personal preference. I don't like a tire bigger than a 37 on an average Jeep. However, Stellantis, FCA, Jeep, whichever, keeps building these different and newer, latest and greatest vehicles. So my personal favorite vehicle is a TJ. I love my TJ. My personal TJ, which a lot of people know, is the Frankenbrute, which is stretched a lot. So it's 123-inch wheelbase, 37s, and 1-inch lift is the perfect tire size for me in that vehicle. This thing behind me over my shoulder, this is a brand new Gladiator. It's a local customer. He's a really good friend of mine. And surprisingly, this brand new Gladiator, you probably can't really see in the picture, but it's got some Ultimate Dana 60s and the brand new BFG 39.5-inch KM3 with only a 3-inch lift. So if you hark back to what Liam said with his YJ, a 3-inch lift on his YJ is really only going to get you that 32, 33-inch tire max tire size. On a TJ, you're about the same. XJ 3-inch lift, 31-inch tire. If you do some fender trimming, maybe you could squeeze it up to a 35. On this Gladiator with factory fenders, right? 100% factory fenders, 100% factory body, 3-inch lift, fits 40s. And it's got a massive wheelbase. And when you set this thing down on the ground, it looks proportional. It doesn't look out of place with that big tire. Same with a modern, JL, Rubicon, because they have the higher fender flares, slightly bigger wheel openings. They can fit a 37-inch tire with a 2-inch lift. They can fit a 40-inch tire with a 3-inch lift. Even though it's not my cup of tea, I think it looks gorgeous on this vehicle behind me. Now, if he were to squeak some 42s or some 44s or some Mickey Thompson 53s or whatever, then I think it would be, way out of the wheelhouse again. But when this thing's sitting down on the ground and drives out of this building, it looks like you could have just bought it at the dealership. So that 39.5-inch tire doesn't look obnoxious here. And per what Liam said, and Traci and Tyler and you, your tire should really be what fits you and fits your build the best. I confidently drive across the country on a set of 37s, go wheeling and drive home. Other people might like a smaller tire, or other people like my customer behind me might like a bigger tire. He's got great, his breakover angle's decent because of his such a large tire. So really do what fits your build and your vehicle the best. If you've got an XJ, do it to your budget and your build style. If you've got a YJ or a TJ or an Old Willys, the tire that fits you the best. Like Traci loves a 35, she should always be running a 35. So that's kind of my rule of thumb. Everybody's different and every build is different. I'm not a fan of tires bigger than 37s personally, but on these new cars, they actually look pretty good.
And you notice that you called it a car.
Yeah, well, it's an automobile, and all automobiles with 4 tires are cars to me. Even though I know it's a Jeep.
There's trucks. Oh, wait. So what's a Jeep truck? Oh, wait. Okay. Well, anyway.
And here, I'll even show you. So this is a lot of fun. I'll run over here. I'll come right back. And if you look at a title, they're station wagons. Jeeps are station wagons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this one's a 1980 CJ.
Nobody even knows where the station wagon name comes from. Well, we probably do. But regardless, okay, so here's the answer to the question that we all just weighed in on. Yeah, it depends on you, your vehicle, and the tire. I've got Jeeps with 31s. I got Jeeps with 29s, and I got 32s, and I got 33s, and 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, 9.5s, 40s. Yeah. All right, so every vehicle is different. The important thing is to match it to you, your vehicle, and to your gear ratio. Don't go running around putting 40s on your flat fender with 373 gears. I think Tyler knows that, right? Don't be putting...
What are you talking about?
Don't overtire it, undergear it, or make it not what you want. Yeah, of course, it's your Jeep. Do whatever you want. You want to do something stupid, do it, okay? That's fine. But in the long run, if you want a daily driver and trail rig, narrow that envelope down so it's exactly what works best for you. If you have a big motor, you can get away with less gear, bigger tire, et cetera, et cetera. But remember the envelope, get it all in that sweet spot, and you'll probably have a good time. And yes, I go 35s, max 37, minimum 33. Except on my Jeeps that I have 31s. So
Yeah, but Rick, can I run 37s on my Dana 35 rear axle? I mean, I can put a V8 in it and power it, right?
sure you could. Absolutely. And I want to be the shop that nails you for all the money you're going to pour into it when everything breaks.
Which is going to be every time you put your foot on the gas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if I gear it? You gear it and it's fine, right?
You betcha. You do it.
If you're driving it to and from the mall every day, you'll probably never have a problem.
Yeah, you'll be just
There you go.
fine.
If you're not 16, okay?
Yeah, and you better have an automatic and not a stick.
Yeah, but if he's power breaking it off the light, he's gonna break it.
Yeah. So let's just say no, okay? Don't do it. Unless you're a fan of breakage. All right.
Unless you won the the lottery or something and just have money to throw away. And if that's the case, throw it my way. Anyway, so that you're talking about shops and tools and gears and stuff like that. What's the bare nuts minimum? We're going to go into toolbox talk here. Bare nuts minimum primary tools that you should have with you at all times, whether it be your tow rig, your daily driver, your off-road rig. And then, there's always the I wanna or I wish I wanna.
Yeah. Well, for me, that's really easy.
Okay.
Right? The number one tool you need is a hammer. Simple as that. A hammer can fix a whole bunch of stuff that a screwdriver can't.
Yeah, but do you need like a little hammer or a Ford Bronco hammer?
A PFH hammer? No, a simple ball-peen hammer, E8 long, nice size, gives you enough heft and weight. I mean, you can beat things into submission with one of those. Everybody should have it. Not a claw hammer. How many nails are you going to be taking out of your fender, right? No, you need a ball-peen hammer. It's a machinist hammer. That's number one. Number two is a screwdriver. Regular, everyday, flat head, normal screwdriver. You can stab people, you can stab deer, you can take screws out, everything else. You got to have one.
Angry much, Rick?
We're talking primary tools, okay? You may need to be surviving on the side of the road. And after that, you need either a pair of pliers and or an adjustable wrench, a crescent wrench to be specific. But yeah, an adjustable wrench, because it can take the place of so many things. Now, those are three tools. You put them in your center console, and you're not bad. Those are your primary tools. Now, if you want to get really fancy, of course, you have a complete set of open-end box wrenches. You have a Phillips screwdriver, too. That's pretty important. Anything new, yeah, you might need Torx, but in my mind, that's your secondary tools. Figure out your primary tools. Doesn't have to be a lot. From there, you add what you need. Now, secondary tools are things like a hacksaw. How many times are you going to need a hacksaw? Really? Okay, I've needed it a lot. However, it's not a general automotive tool, but a hacksaw is handy. Now, the worst part is tertiary tools. These are specialty things like a Pitman arm puller. Some people carry a Pitman arm puller, and I do too if I'm going on a rescue mission. I'll do an old Jeep rear hub puller if I'm going on a rescue mission. But I surely don't do that for a daily driver or like trail use. So think about your tools so that you don't carry too much weight. I've had people with rollout type drawers and everything else, and that's 1,000 pounds of tools, and they may be able to fix everything, but they can't get anywhere because they're carrying too many tools, which is really a hard thing to say. Can you really have too many tools, Greg?
Yes, you can have too many tools. I've seen people bring literally, just like you said, rollouts. And sorry, it's raining, so I might have some weird background noise, but I've seen people literally just buy sets of tools and bring them all, even though 50% of them are not applicable to their vehicle or most of the vehicles on the trail. So you can have too many tools. Best thing I always recommend is if you work on your own vehicle, the tools that you grab the most, that's what you should pack if you think you're going to do a lot of repairs.
Okay.
Other than that, yes, keep simple tools.
Top 5 tools that you're going to take. 5. Pick them right now. That's all you get.
Ball-peen hammer, Phillips head, flathead, pry bar, and a slightly bigger hammer.
Bigger hammer.
Well, so, and this, there's actually a reason. So if you take 2 hammers, let's say you have to take a knuckle apart, or you have to take, put one on either side, bash them together like, you know, and you will drop things without needing a pickle fork. Just like you said earlier, a hammer is an invaluable tool. I've used them to move fenders away from tires. I've used them for take glass out of a car. You can use them for so many things. So yeah, hammer.
All right, Traci.
Hammer, vice grips, because you can do so much with vice grips.
That you can't do with pliers. Good call.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a brake line that's leaking.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
So vice grips, crescent wrench, Leatherman, and a star wrench.
Oh, you want to get your tires off. Okay, good call. All right.
And
Liam?
I mean, that star wrench can come in handy for other things if needed. So.
Oh yeah, you can fling it and hit that deer on the side of the road and eat it and get home.
Yeah, and I wouldn't get blood all over my screwdriver.
There you go. Liam.
Wow. All right. I'm going to come in. The first one, and it's obvious that I work on fuel injected vehicles because of wire stripper / crimper. I've had one get me off the side of the road, and ever since that day, I've never left home without one, as I rewired basically the entire ignition system of my Jeep on the side of the highway. That was a good day because I had a wire stripper / crimper.
Yeah.
Definitely a flathead screwdriver because you can use it as a Phillips head screwdriver if it's the right size. A tire iron because 90% of the time I'm working on my Jeep, I'm taking off the tire anyway, so I might as well make it quick and easy. I like that we said crescent wrench, and since we're running out, I'm going to have to throw the hammer in there because you're right, the hammer is fantastic.
Okay. And finally, let's go with Tyler.
This question is causing me some serious anxiety right now.
So anxiety medicine is one of your tools?
No, only 5, huh?
5.
Well, definitely a ball peen. I would go with a pair of needle nose vice grips. If you got a big enough flathead, it would double as a pry bar.
Right.
Wow. Tire iron. And I'm thinking of all the things I've broke, and none of these tools would have fixed them. Just thinking how I would get an axle shaft out of a Dana 30 with these tools that I'm mentioning.
Needle nose and a hammer might do it.
Can I cheat and say like a socket set, or it has to be a single tool?
Single tool.
Single tool? That'd be a crescent wrench, I guess.
There you go.
Although I find them completely useless, but crescent wrench.
Crescent wrench is one of the best, especially if you have a little one or if you have a big one.
But there's a reason they call them nut lathes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, you got to buy a good one first off.
Yeah.
All right. So, I got to say a tire iron, a hammer. Again, my flathead. Got to go with vice grips. Not sure if I do needle nose, but that was a good point. And then probably a 10 millimeter open end or a 1/2 inch open end, because those are the ones that you're going to lose first anyway. So there's my selection. I think we're all on the same page. Multi-purpose tools, using that instead of a pry bar, using a big screwdriver. So yeah, and we all picked the hammer. So there's my number one. Anyway, that's my toolbox talk. Again, I could talk way too much about tools, so I'm going to cut myself off right here. Traci?
I agree, and that kind of brings us to our closing here with all Jeep all the time. And one of the things that we had kind of touched on briefly during our Moab, it's and I've seen it come up on social media and discussions and stuff. And Rick's done a couple of these columns in the past as his editorial, and I think we should do it again. The Jeep Wave.
The Jeep Wave.
The Jeep Wave.
Okay, so what is the Jeep Wave? Okay, we know what the Jeep Wave is, right?
It's an acknowledgement to me. It's the acknowledgement of a brother or a sister who should theoretically understand this 7-slot, 9-slot Jeep life. Okay, the Harley guys do it. They do the low wave as they pass another biker, just acknowledging a brother and sister in arms, so to speak.
Yep, but I think that is it, though.
Yeah, but some of the questions I've seen recently is, what Jeeps do you wave at? What Jeeps don't you wave at? One of them was phrased, "Do we have to wave at XJs?" Well, yeah.
Oh, that hits me right in the
XJ
feels,
people are saying.
Oh, and then
was that from a Patriot driver or what?
Maybe a Liberty. Renegade.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
All right. What else?
Our Gladiator trucks actually Jeeps? Do we have to wave at those?
And then which Gladiator? The one behind you or the new ones? One behind Greg?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, but most of the new Jeep owners don't even understand that the old Gladiator exists.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all personal preference. I mean, if it were up to me, I would say that there should be a class as you're signing your paperwork to get your first Jeep. You should have to go through a Jeep Wave class. I mean, these are all Jeeps. You wave at these. And that takes me back to Toledo. They understand it because everybody gets a wave. It doesn't matter if you're driving a Renegade, a Patriot, a Compass, for crying out loud. Yeah. Everybody gets a wave because they get it. They get it.
If a Compass owner waves at you, that means they get it. Maybe someday they're going to have a vintage Gladiator. I mean, how cool is that, right? It's all about teaching people things. So my thought is, yeah, you wave to them all. You don't wave to a Scout. It's
wait.
Uh-oh.
If you're in Moab, you're in a vintage Jeep, you have been snubbed royally by all the JKJL people, and there's this cool old Scout
that waves at you
with the windshield down and no top, and he throws both hands in the air and waves at you. Yeah, you wave back.
All right, here's the Scouts. Absolutely.
Old Scouts. Really old Scouts.
That brings me to a question. Here's a thought experiment. Well, two thought experiments. And the first one is probably the closest I ever came to waving at something that is very much not a Jeep. I'm on my way to work. It is cold and rainy. I think it must have been fall or something like that. And I'm in my Jeep and I'm wearing a winter coat because that's what you do. You're basically outside. And as I'm going, a Mazda Miata passes me, and the rear window on the soft top was blown out, and the driver was wearing a full winter coat, like Michelin Man deal, and they're just going for it, and they're holding this thing on the road as long as they can. And that was the closest I ever came to waving at a non-Jeeper, because I go, it's a different car, but they get it. Their mindset and my mindset is one and the same. The thought experiment is this. You have a Prius. the Prius you use to save money so you can buy Jeep parts. You have a sticker that says my other car is a Jeep. Can I wave to you?
I say yes. Because remember, a Prius is not only saving you money for Jeep parts, it's saving us fuel for Jeepers. So we'll have enough.
So there you go.
True.
I agree. It's more of a mindset than just the Jeep thing. Yes, I agree with Traci. Wave at that Scout. And Liam, wave at that Prius because he's doing us a favor. He's doing that for the Jeepness in all of us.
You know what? Between the mud on the broken windshield and the smoke in the cab from the exhaust leak, you don't need to wave at XJ owners because they're not going to see you anyways.
Okay,
Let's
so
be
here's
real.
the part. I'm driving my Dodge or some other car, and I'm waving at Jeeps. Some old guy waving at him. I forget I'm not in a Jeep, but I'm seeing a cool Jeep, right?
Hey, if I'm towing Tater or Rick, if you've got a Jeep on the trailer behind you or something like that, damn it, wave.
Oh yeah. That's usually a mid cab wave because you see the trailer with the Jeep on it right when your cabs are passing you, and you see the other guy do the same thing.
That's when you wave out the back window.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, it's because we're all part of that club. We get it. All right.
But
and
the newer generations, they don't get it, but they need to get it. Like I said, there needs to be some kind of pledge, some kind of class when they're signing on for ownership of that Jeep.
Wouldn't that be nice? I think it falls to all of us other Jeepers to wave at them. Once they see, what did that guy wave at me for? And they go, oh, was that a Jeep he was driving or her or whatever?
My favorite's when you're driving down the road and you see the Jeeps coming, and instead of waving, they put the sticker of the wave on their mirror. Have you seen that?
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Talk about lazy.
You're not talking about my mirror, are you? Mine's the cool one that's got the two fingers on the steering wheel. It's to remind other people
that makes it a lot cooler.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if it's one finger, two fingers, three, whatever, or both hands. Most newbies are both hands. Hey, you're cool. Old farts are like, hey.
So they experience death wobble, and then they never remove their knuckles again.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, there is a hierarchy, and once you get into it, you'll figure it out. But most vintage Jeeps, we can get away with. Yeah.
I had a side-by-side wave at me on a trail, and the first one, he waved like this. And then the next one waved like this, and the next one like this, and the last guy was like, power, man. And I'm like, I was so confused. I'm like, what is the wave here? It took me like 3 or 4 groups of side-by-sides to figure out they were telling me how many people in their party.
Yeah, and now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, power, dude.
Power to the Jumper. All right, guys, I think that wraps it up for our double-digit episode number 10 of the Gone-Gpn show.
All right, I agree. And I think we had a good guest, had good times. We got to do this more often. Oh, wait, we do.
We do. We try to do it about every 2 weeks, travel schedule permitting. Now that we're getting into some warmer weather and whatnot, things may not be quite on track every 2 weeks, but we'll do the best we can. Again, if you guys have an event, drop us an email, drop a comment on social media or on YouTube or whatever. Let us know about your event, when it is, all the fun details, where it's at. And if you got some photos that you can send to us via email at contact@gone-gpn.com. We'll run them up on our social media pages and hopefully get you some more stuff. And one other thing, I have been privileged enough to have a sneak peek at the official Jeep Thang music video.
Ooh.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
Jeremy Rowe, Be prepared, guys, because it's going to be pretty awesome. I believe it debuts on July 2nd. So
Cool. We'll have it on our YouTube.
as long as we can get the permissions to do it, but I think that should happen. I'm officially Jeremy Rose Jeep Mom.
Well, well, congratulations, Jeep Mom.
Thank you.
That's great. All right. Well, I guess that's it for us then.
I think so.
Thank you, everybody. Greg, Liam, Tyler, thanks for joining us. And I'm your host, Rick Péwé. And
I'm your co-host, Traci Clark, and we will see you next time.
that's right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Gone-Gpn.com. Here we go.
Bye, everybody.
On the next episode of the Gone-Gpn Show, we'll have lockers before light bars, where we will answer some of our fans' questions. Willys versus Wrangler. Rick Péwé faces off against the new guys, old school versus modern technology. And Trailside, where we will discuss some of our favorite trails and trips we'd like to take. Thanks for joining us on the Gone-Gpn Show. We'll see you at the next episode. We're all Jeep all the time.